So welcome guys to this webinar, Use Herbs and Diet to Recover from Chronic Fatigue Syndrome. I'm so pleased to see you quite numerous to this. Ultimately, this webinar is about how to start recovering from chronic fatigue syndrome, respecting the gentle and natural life processes that make up our body, and further without experiencing fallbacks. So I'm going to teach you this by showing you a new exciting therapeutic strategy based on natural foods and herbal medicine to address something called the fluids of your body. And I will also give you 5 vital steps to guide you into the recovery journey. And we will also try live a simple method for assessing what your body really needs to begin to recover. And this we will do it after the webinar in the live questions at the end. So please let me introduce myself. My name is Tommaso Perego. I am a researcher and therapist in natural therapy for chronic fatigue syndrome. I'm based in London, UK. I regularly lecture at the College of Naturopathic Medicine in London and other institutions, and I practice in London and online. I have clients in UK, Europe, and the USA. For the past 4 years, I've been researching and delivering therapeutic practice for chronic fatigue syndrome, and I gain an in-depth experience achieving excellent recovery results with my clients. And that's what I want to share with you today. So here is what you will learn during this presentation. A new physiology that simplifies the issues you might have had so far in understanding the cause of chronic fatigue syndrome, how to assess your body's health thanks to that physiology, so that you can learn from its symptoms invaluable information on its health. How to avoid eating diets that strain your body system so that you can finally develop an efficient and clean foundation for all your body workings. You will also learn to use herbs to specifically stimulate, nourish, reactivate the body tissue so that you can use them to contribute and support the natural ability of your body to live and thrive. Finally, I would like you also to learn how to develop trust in the recovery so you can finally forget the fear that most often happen in the case of chronic fatigue syndrome and get back your body's strength and ultimately your freedom. So why this is important to you now, if you're in particular experiencing chronic fatigue syndrome symptoms? Most of the therapeutic strategies that we have learned are dead wrong. They are either focused on suppression or damage limitation approaches, but both are not leading to full recovery. It seems like they only attempted to address specific issues like the energy recovery or the pain does not help. Immediate help is not needed with the pressing pains and inability to act, move, and enjoy life. So the approach to chronic fatigue syndrome recovery must change. Is this for you? So if you're a person with a family, a career, that are at risk of being jeopardized by this condition, then this is for you. If you have attempted for a long time to resolve the puzzle of chronic fatigue syndrome and you suffer numerous relapses and fallbacks, then this is for you. If you're currently experiencing muscular and joint pains and you want to stop, yeah, that's for you. If you have for long sought after a therapy that can actually help with your fatigue and you want to solve fatigue now, then this is for you. And lastly, if you want to be free from preventing planning and want to get back to your full potential, this is also for you. So I hope to have give you a picture so that you understand if you're in the right place to listen to the right webinar. A few house rules though are that this webinar is about therapy and not about promoting a magic pill. So there is no easy solution. It is not without effort. But most people who seek any quick remedy for chronic fatigue syndrome will not solve chronic fatigue syndrome whatsoever, because it is a long-term job, but it's doable. have a confession to make, which it is true that therapies don't work every single time. So you might not have easy results or straight away. Results might take longer. Some situation might be more difficult than others to solve, but each of you are beginning the journey from different starting points. So you might not have certain physical assets that other people might have, or might be at different stages of the illness. But definitely you will learn how to get to the best point possible for yourself at this stage. And that's a huge progress and a ticket for the final win. So if you ever tried to use therapies to resolve your issues with chronic fatigue syndrome, but then the relapses happened and you got things messed up. And when you try to rebalance the situation, you maybe made it worse. Then I know how you feel. I used to feel the same way, and we might have more in common than you think. So let me tell you a story. This is my personal story. So my health state was poor, but I didn't realize it. I felt I could do anything, but in reality, I wasn't doing very much. I was doing swimming session, but quite short, could not keep up much, growing a belly, getting in my late 30s. And I went back and forth from smoking and was drinking quite too regularly. I did read lots of eating healthy books, exercising books like Pilates, yoga, all sorts. But I applied them inconsistently, perhaps because I felt the results were not really coming. Also, I was pretty tired of the whole thing going nowhere. Suddenly, I started having some heart issues, big incidents just with low pressure, and I have been suffering from recurrent back pains. I was able to work, but not to work and study. It was kind of too consuming for me. And I have difficulty going out. I was pain in the bowels, difficulty with digesting certain foods. I tried several times conventional therapies and also natural, but it did not work. I constantly had to deal with going back to the starting point. There was no improvement whatsoever. I just resigned my way of being without noticing the change was just around the corner. What was my turning point? By chance, I started eating mainly fruits and raw vegetables just to try out a simpler way of life. To be honest, I just didn't really want to cook anymore. I felt changes happening in a few days. The changes were so amazing that I grew interest more and more, and I was intrigued and shocked at how I could sustain myself in this way. I became lighter in weight. I lost a lot of kilos. No more belly, no foul smells in the sweat or in the stools, much more mental clarity, activity, and freshness. Waking up for me was becoming like being a spring, and I was resting so nicely and deeply. I became much more sensitive and reactive to emotions, developed better sense of the other people around me. I never catch cold, fever disappeared. I always usually had to have 4 or 5 times tonsillitis throughout the years, no more, all that was gone. So I thought it was more important for me to understand the principle by which I reached such an unexpected and powerful state. And once I finished my doctorate, I then embraced a new course of life in 2013 by studying biomedicine, nutritional therapy, and until naturopathy, herbal medicine, and iridology. It became important for me to do something also for the world and for others, and I started appreciating very much the clinical expertise I was gaining. I've continued living this way and making daily new discoveries about my body, and I've been able to, thanks to my study, also to understand and apply my successes to help therapeutically other people with their issues. So now I want to show you how it worked for me to have the body changing dramatically and working properly again. And the formula I want to give you exactly as it worked for me can be applied to anybody. So what is this formula? So the 5 pillars of recovery, we can call it. The first one is the body does it on its own. And it's the most theoretical point, is essential preliminary concept. The assessment of the body's organizational ability is the second important point. The herbal process of short-term reactivation. Fourth is the diet process of long-term reactivation. And then the continued support, point number 5, from herbs and good foods protocols. So let me show you how each of these pillars works. So the body does it on its own. Just these 3 points. Our body responds to the environment it lives into and to the substances it interacts with. Our body responds to the environment we create inside it. So the will, the emotion, the spirit, someone call it like that. Our body autonomously and continuously tries to organize, adapt to these changes in the best way it can. That should clear any skepticism in terms of what the body can do and show us the basic of natural processes in the body. The body is a constant flow and process, say the philosopher Rudolf Steiner and even Paracelsus. I'm sorry. So the second point is the body's current organizational ability and how that must be properly assessed. Are you tense? Are you too relaxed? Do you feel puffy and damp? Do you feel dry? Do you have pain? Where? How long for? What type of pain? All these questions can help us define what is something called the tissue state. The tissue state assessment is important so you know in which direction to go to rebalance your health issues. So the symptoms of the body could tell us what is making it struggle. The tissue state, in particular when experiencing symptoms, can be identified by asking simple diagnostic questions like, are you puffy, are you dry? Or by more complex investigation, which probably a therapist should do, like the one of analyzing the tongue, the iris, or the pulse. The tissue state could tell us what is blocking the body from reaching its full potential. What is interesting is that to a certain tissue state corresponds a fluid quality. So for example, if you have dry tissue lacks fluid, and as fluids cannot reach them and to moisten them. So if your tissues are stagnant or damp, tissues have excess fluids as the body cannot drain them properly. Cold or heat tissue have different temperature, which create areas in the body of poor function or higher sensitivity. Tense and relaxed tissues are caused by dryness or surface tension. So when the body, let's do some examples. So when the body is damp, we call it damp or stagnant, the legs feel full, ankles are swollen, there is fluid retention. So you should ensure fluids are draining properly so you can get rid of stagnancy, let them flow and maintain them healthy. And so why you need a proper drainage? Because if you leave the waters unchanged, then you will have increase in toxicity, which in turn create poor communication, poor responses in the tissues, and lack of nourishment. Another example is when the body is dry. The body feels stiff, painful, irritable. The skin is scaling and looks very dry. Headaches ensue. So achieve a proper lubrication of the cells, the tissues and the organs, so you can remove the dryness and feel improvements throughout. Without fluids, hardly anything could happen in the body. So by achieving the correct hydration in your body, you can ensure all the function of fluids are serving you well. The third process, the third point, pillar of the recovery is the herbal process of short-term reactivation, which is probably one of the main reasons why you're here. So to break the impasse of the body in chronic fatigue syndrome, where you crashes and you start having a completely different behavior of your body, it is necessary to use herbal medicine as they operate gently and quickly. If you don't choose a gentle action, your body will struggle with intervention because the special intervention is not adjusting the fluids, but crashing through them. If you use herbs, they will be able to enter the body and operate deeply, seamlessly changing the overall fluids, not just one molecule, but provoking the fluids reorganization as a whole, what we call the homeostasis. How herbs operate? So we are saying that herbs are able to reorganize chemically and homeostatically the internal structure of the fluids they dissolve into. That's the technical statement. And for example, Pfeiffer is one of the researchers that should be looked up. But think about this example. Think about a pinch of salt in a glass of water. Even the smallest amount could be perceived immediately if you touch it with your tongue, dipping into the glass. Do you feel that? If you could apply to your body actions like the one made by the pinch of salt to the water, you will change profoundly the organization of your fluids and consequently of your tissue states, which reacts to the changes in the fluids. Herbal medicines can just do that. So in classes of herbal medicine, we do tasting sessions, what is called the organoleptic tasting. We take very small portion of the herbs and record the impression we perceive by tasting it. So super astringent herbs, they make your mouth immediately dry. You can feel it on your tongue as well. Super bitter herbs, well, they can make you burp. My favorite one is Artemisia absinthium, which just a tiny little bit and you start warming all up in your mouth, in your chest. But also you can start having very, very cloudy thoughts, like dreamy thoughts. In some people, it works with me super every time. So chronic fatigue syndrome sufferers have thus a powerful, easy to access medicine in their hands, capable to adjust and reorganize the fluids of their body. So why do they work? Well, think of the power of the herbs as the power of the salt in the water. They change the structure of the fluids to make space for the components of the herb. They merge into the fluids of the body. They globally enrich them and make them take a direction, chemically, energetically. So if in the water I taste salt, I will reject the water. If in the water I taste lemon, my body will cringe. You see, I just taste, and through taste, we have a reaction of the body. If I eat semnopods or the skin of aloe vera leaf, definitely I have to go to the toilet. If I take almond fulva, I will protect my stomach when I have acid reflux or when I have poor digestion. It will nurture the membranes of my stomach. Tissues react and respond to the chemical changes in the surrounding fluids, bringing to completion the improvements the herbs have initiated. If your body is cold, herbs can bring heat. If your body is in a state of heat, herbs can cool it down. If your body is dry and tense, herbs can lubricate and relax it. If your body is stagnant and damp, herbs can stimulate and tone it. Here we reach now the fourth point, which is the dietary process of long-term reactivation. You must consider how diet too is affecting the tissue and how it could be adjusted, because foods ingested get liquefied and become part of the overall fluids in circulation. As in my story I told you earlier, the type of foods have the power of changing your body. So what type of foods are useful for you? Starchless fruits and vegetables, as they won't clog you. Vitamin process stimulating foods, as they will increase your metabolism. Mineralizing foods, as they will give you the prime substances for your life processes to work. Electrolytes rich foods, that means live foods which contain natural motion and action to affect the fluids of our body. Foods with high fiber to promote fantastic mechanical action of removal. Non-stimulant to avoid unnatural accelerating or decelerating processes, preserving your ability to understand your true body reactions. And finally, non-acid forming to avoid toxicity to form in your body. So a 3 weeks session on these foods alone will already produce radical changes to your body, because it will help remove obstruction, and you will do less effort because you won't do it on your own. It's the foods that help you, because it will make more energy available for use for something else, as it's not spent in cleansing practices. So how do they work? I always like to quote the Arnold Ehret for this, because he made a little formula. And the formula is vitality equals the power, innate power of a body minus the obstruction, which he called it the formula of life, but it can be also called the formula of death. So V stands for vitality. P stands for power, what drives the human machinery, which keeps you alive, which gives you strength and efficiency, endurance, so on. O means obstruction, encumbrance, foreign matters, toxemias, mucus, in short, all internal impurities which obstruct the circulation, the function of the internal organs especially, and the human engine, its entire functioning system. And Eret continues and says, you can therefore see through this equation, and as soon as the obstruction becomes greater than the innate power, the human machine comes to a standstill. So the point in our recovery mission for chronic fatigue syndrome are remove the clogging and the obstruction, promote the elimination, and provide the best nourishment. These are the 3 important facts. However, you need to be aware of how to handle changes and endure change, because moving on from where you are now into this type of diet, even with the support of herb, can create the adjustment that people will shy away from or start blaming, oh, these foods are not good with me, while instead it's the natural process of healing that requires this type of effort, but the change can scare. And also endure the change to try to continue to live and proceed in the right direction of your change. Guess what? This works fantastically in other illnesses too. I have seen so many cases myself recovering from chronic fatigue syndrome just by changing foods alone. In particular, brain fog goes in 2 weeks, goes. This approach, since it allows the body to naturally thrive, can help with many more health issues as well. So imagine colds, allergies, digestive and gastrointestinal problems, to name a few. Now we reached the last point, which is the continuous support from herbs and good food protocol. And for this, I want to show you the scheme. So imagine you start at the beginning, you start on the lower left quadrant here. And you do for 3 or 9 weeks a protocol in the way that I mentioned, supporting with the herbs, reactivating with the herbs, and then with the long-term help through the foods. I assure you that in 3 or 9 weeks, here, you find yourself in a different situation. And the tip that I want to give is that at this stage, because you're not in this color anymore, you're lighter, some processes are improving already in your body, that is a good vision, is a good cycle that will create the progress to bring you more clean and more effective, more reactive, more healthier throughout the time. So the 3 pictures are, the body is able to always do it on its own. It's a constant flow. The herbs help to enter and merge into the fluids to help reactivate wherever there is a stagnation or heat or coldness, where you can adjust and fix the tissues. And the diet is then the continuation and the long-term radical change. So when whichever state you started from, with an unresponsive or over-responsive body, slowly adjusting with the herbs and continuing to use no clogging foods, wouldn't you think you will make your tissues, organs, and fluids of your body much healthier? Anybody on this earth needs this. So particularly in the case of chronic fatigue syndrome sufferers, this process cannot be procrastinated. How long would you leave this untried for? Wouldn't you want to relentlessly be able to fight back the symptoms affecting you and give them no more reason to be? So you're at your computer watching this webinar, you have heard how it works, and you know that using diet and herbs can be a great way to support your body in its recovery from chronic fatigue syndrome. What I just showed you is the exact system I've personally used, first to get myself out of trouble, second to help people from 2018 onwards in my nutrition and herbal clinic. And if you'd like me to help you make these changes happen for you, implementing each step and everything we've gone over, I'd be delighted. And here's how we'll do it. A free assessment call. So I made available in my schedule a number of monthly free exploratory calls of 45 minutes each that you can book for free at the time that best suits you until they are available, obviously. And here's what the call can do for you. You will discuss your medical history so you can clarify important details of your health history and of the medication you're currently taking. You will be able to explain in depth the main issue that is currently affecting you so you can immediately understand it better and learn how to resolve it. You will learn how natural therapy can be applied to your specific problem so you can appreciate further the benefits of the therapy and how you could get started using it. You will be able to have a private, dedicated time so you can ask questions and discuss in-depth issues that have been bothering you since a long time and you never had the chance to calmly break down and thoroughly investigate with an experienced practitioner. Here's what I want you to do next. Naturally, if you book the call I just explained to you, you will have a better picture of what natural therapy can do for you. So that's why you should just book your strategy call now by clicking the link that I put it here for you in the chat so you can see it. I forgot to prepare it. Sorry, that's the link. Actually, I prefer this one. I'll put it there in case you want to do it. So if you have been struggling to recover from chronic fatigue syndrome since a long time, and you want to be able to get a picture of your health needs to better plan the journey towards your recovery, if you have not yet managed to rationalize the problems you're experiencing, and you want to put each piece of the puzzle in place to stress less about the gravity or nature of your condition, if you want to explore how herbs can be matched to your specific issues, and which dietary pattern will support you more from where you are now, then book the strategy call. That's the easiest step that you can do to really start solving this problem. I can offer for the first 10 book call a functional test. So if you have your latest blood results, I can even do for the first 10 people booking the call a free analysis of this test. How it works that once I confirm that you're in the book here, you are between the first 10, I will send you access to a clinical app where you can upload the encrypted and confidentially your blood test. So there's no problem with GDPR. I will compile the report for you for free and share it in the app. And I will then discuss the report with you at the time of the call. In therapy, it's always best to start from an exploratory call. You need to make sure the service you're investigating is exactly what you need. You need to carefully examine what would be the milestones of your new health journey. You need to know your therapist better, but the therapist also need to know exactly how it can help before asking you to invest into a program. So a free call is where all starts. For you is a very valuable asset, and it is a free and fast opportunity to check firsthand what you could really do for your health. Just to be clear, I'm here to help first, then to get work. So that's why I made these free calls available in my schedule for anybody who wants to understand more if this is the therapy that could help them for real. So to recap, we have learned about the special power of foods and herbs, the one to regenerate tissues and thus organs and cells of your body. We have learned that herbal medicine can be used to get you on the right path to allow changes in the diet to make their work to bring you back in shape. You have the opportunities to book a free call of 45 minutes as your first effective step towards recovery, an opportunity to speak with a specialist in this type of recovery using natural remedies. If you book your call early, you can also have a chance to get a free functional test report on your latest blood test. So click the link that I gave you in the chat to book the call at the best time suitable for you. So guys, thank you for watching. And I see some people have put some messages in the chat.